Hey everyone, welcome back to Roadside Coder, and in today's video we're gonna see how we can implement drag and drop functionality in our React.js application. So this is what we're going to build in today's video, a to-do list app. If I go on and type, so I've added a few tasks over here and you can see they appear in this active task section. I can go ahead and drag and drop this in completed tasks if I want them to be completed, and vice versa. And we can go ahead and rearrange them in their respective position. So just like this, if I want this to be above this. So this is what we are going to implement in today's video. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here's I've opened that to-do list app in our VS Code, and let's quickly go to the terminal and start our app by typing npm start. Alright, there we go. Now I would like to mention one thing, that this app is made in React TypeScript. But even if you want to use this in a React JavaScript project, you can still use it. I'm gonna explain everything how you can do that. But if you want to go ahead and learn how I created this app, you can go ahead and watch our previous tutorial which was on React TypeScript. Link will be in the description or I button above. Or if you want just the code of this application, you can go to your browser, go to github.com/piyush-eon, go to repositories. I'll include the link to the repository in the description as well, and just click on over here, React TypeScript Taskify, and you're gonna see two branches over here. All of the code from this video will be in the master branch, and the starter code will be in this React-TypeScript tutorial branch. And let's start integrating the drag and drop in our application. So let's quickly understand the flow of this application if you don't want to watch the previous video. So if you go to app.tsx, you can see we have two states, one for a single to-do and another for all of the to-dos that are going to store our to-dos list. So what's happening over here is we have an input field over here where we input all of our to-dos, and when we enter our to-dos, they get appended into this to-do list, this to-dos state. And this to-dos state, if you go inside of the to-dos list, they are being rendered over here. We are mapping them inside of to-dos list component, and for a single to-do, I've created this single to-do component. If you go inside of this, you're gonna see we have this whole component for single to-dos. But again, you don't need to worry about all of these things. You just need to focus on the concepts that I'm going to tell you when we are going to integrate React drag and drop in our app. Alright, cool. So let's make the suitable UI changes so that we can go ahead and make it look like this. So whenever we enter the to-do, it appears on active tasks, and we should have a completed task section over here. So let's go and make the changes in this particular app. So I'm gonna go to to-dos list component, and let me remove this div, and I'm going to add another div called container. And inside of this container div, we're gonna have another div called to-dos. Now this to-dos div will be for this particular active tasks, and we're gonna create another div for our completed tasks. So I'm gonna take this div and paste it, and let's add another class over here. Let's say remove. And inside of both of these, we're gonna add some code. We're gonna first of all add this span tag for the headings. So span.todos __ heading. Alright, and inside of this, I'm gonna write active tasks. And below this, we're gonna take this to-dos state that is being passed from app.tsx, and we're going to render all of the to-dos. To-dos.map to-do. And again, just like previously, we are going to render our single to-do component over here. So single to-do, and we are going to pass it to-do, and we need to send to-dos, also send a key, and set to-dos. Great. So this should work now. Okay, it doesn't look really good right now, so I'm gonna fix that later. So let's copy this up, and I'm gonna paste this inside of our to-do remove as well. Yeah, that looks ugly. So instead of active tasks, I'm gonna write completed tasks. So right now I'm just rendering this to-dos.map inside of this, but later we are going to have a separate state for completed to-dos, and we're gonna render that particular state over here. Now let's provide it some styling so that it doesn't look this ugly. So go to style.css and let's start by changing this width to 95% and come down over here. I'm just above this to-dos. I'm gonna add a container class that we created the container, and we're gonna provide this container class display flex so that it appears in one row. So display flex, some width of 95%, and I'm gonna bring in a few styles so that we don't have to waste time writing CSS. We're gonna add some margin top to create some spacing. Justify content is going to be space between so that they have some space in between them, just like this. Some align items to flex start so that they are aligned to the very start of the container. Cool. Now we're gonna make some changes to this to-dos. So I'm gonna remove this and change the width to 47.5% because they are taking the half of the screen, right? So 47.5%. And I'm gonna remove this flex wrap, and I'm going to make them columns so that they appear in one row. So right now, if you see, they appear side by side. So I'm gonna make them flex direction column, give them some padding, some border radius of 5 pixels and some background color. So let's see. Yep, that looks pretty good. And now we should make this single to-do to span whole of this div. But first of all, let's provide some to-dos heading style. So dot to-dos heading. It's gonna have some font size of 30 pixels. Provided 30 pixels. Now next, for to-dos single, we need to provide it full width, or maybe we don't need to provide it any width because the display is flex, so it's all automatically going to span it. Yep, there we go. And we are going to add some transition to it so that when we hover on this, it grows a little bit. So we are going to add that hover as well. But first, let me add just transition of 0.2 seconds. And let's add those hover styles just like this. So when we hover on this, box shadow will appear of 5 pixels, and we're gonna scale it to 1.03. So it's gonna get a little bit bigger. So see over here? Yep, this is the animation. Awesome. Now let's come down. Now we need to remove inside of media query. I'm going to remove this. We don't need this anymore because with automatically controlled. But for our to-dos, when the screen is smaller than 1100 pixels, we're going to have to-dos with a width of 45%. So let's check it out. Yep, just like that. Now next, inside of here in our to-dos, I'm going to add some margin bottom so that it looks a little bit neat in smaller screens. Also, we need to remove this with 100%. So that it creates a little bit spacing, and we're gonna add some container styles to make them from top to bottom. So we're gonna provide that container some flex direction of column. So with width of 95%. So currently it's half of it, around 50%, but we're gonna make flex direction to be column. Yep, just like this. And also this completed task should have a background color of red. So let's add a remove class that we added it. So background color is going to be red. Yep, that looks much better. Cool. Now I think our UI is done. Now let's start implementing the React Beautiful DND package into our application. So I'm gonna open a new tab and search React Beautiful DND. Let's go to this npm package, and here we go. We have the installation instructions over here, and we have some documentation. If you want to go ahead and read this, you can do that. So this is how the drag and drop will work. So we're gonna wrap whole of our app with this drag drop context tag. And the place, that is this place where all of our to-dos will be rendered, we're gonna wrap it with droppable, and one single to-do will be wrapped with draggable tag. If you're unable to understand this right now, don't worry, I'm gonna explain everything as we go along. Let's go to our terminal and paste this npm I React Beautiful DND. All right, there we go, it's installed. Let me close this terminal and let's go to our app.tsx, and I'm gonna create a new state for our completed to-dos. So use state completed to-dos, and it's going to be an empty array to begin with, and it's going to be of type the same to-dos type. Now if you're coding in JavaScript, you don't need to worry about all of these types and stuff. You can directly just create use state like this. So now we need to send both of these to our to-dos list component over here. Set completed to-dos, also this thing. Okay, so it's giving us error because this doesn't exist in our to-dos list. So let's go ahead and add this. So completed. Again, you don't need to worry about all of this if you are coding in JavaScript. So it was of type to-dos array. So we're gonna take this, add it over here, and set completed to-dos. Now how did we added the type to this? We just hover on this and take this. Okay, completed to-dos. Yep, that's fine. All right, so our app is working fine till now. Now, how do we add React Beautiful DND to our app? So we need to go to our app.tsx, which we are already in. So we need to wrap this with something called drag drop context. So drag drop context. And we're gonna wrap whole of our app inside of this. Now we need to import it from React Beautiful DND. So import from React Beautiful DND, and just go over here, press CTRL space, control space. Whoops. Okay, it's not coming. Oh, I got it. We forgot to do one thing. We forgot to install the types for this particular library. So whenever you install few dependencies in TypeScript, they require you to install some types for them. So I'm going to click over here, and it's going to take us over here. So we need to copy this line, or we can simply copy this over here and just go back and open another terminal and just install these types, because these types are important for this package to function properly. All right, there we go. It has installed. Let me close this terminal up. And now if I go and press Control Space and click on this, you're gonna see it has imported. Now it says an error, so it requires a prop called on drag end, which we are going to worry about later, but don't need to worry about right now. So let's go to to-do list, and inside of our to-do list component, we're gonna wrap it with something called droppable, because this area right here is a droppable area. This area is also a droppable area. So if I type anything, okay, so this is going to be a draggable thing, and this is going to be a droppable thing. So let's wrap this inside of our droppable. So right below this, I'm gonna add droppable, and I'm gonna take whole of this div and push it inside of it. Now this droppable is going to have an ID. Okay, so it's still giving that error on drag end. So let me just add this on drag end for now, just like this. Yeah, fine. So it has stopped giving error for there, but over here it's giving some error. It requires droppable props. So first of all, we need to give this a droppable ID. So droppable ID is nothing but to identify this droppable zone uniquely. So we're gonna provide it, let's say, to-dos list. Okay, and inside of it, we can't just put it just like this. We need to pass a callback, and then we need to shift it inside of there. So I'm gonna open a curly brace, and inside of a function, you can say, we're gonna take this div and paste it. Now inside of this function, it takes a few parameters. So first one will be provided, and second one I'll talk about later. So first of all, provided. So what is provided going to do? So we're going to take this provided and provide it to our parent div of this particular droppable zone. So to the parent div, we need to provide a ref, and ref will have provided dot inner ref, so that React Beautiful DND can control this as a droppable zone. And also we also need to spread provided dot droppable props. So that is what it was asking, provided dot droppable props. Yep, that's fine. Cool. So, but still, if you go on over here and do anything, you're gonna see it's still not working, because we have to do a lot of things apart from this as well. So let's make this droppable zone as well, just like we did with this thing. So I'm gonna copy this up, go right over here, and let's put this div inside of here. And instead of to-dos list, I'm gonna change its name to to-dos remove. Okay, now we need to provide it the function again, just like we did with the previous one. So I'm gonna shift whole of this div inside of there, just like that. We're gonna take provided, and we're gonna take both of these things, and we need to provide it to our parent div, just like this. All right, cool. No error, and still not working. Nothing. Okay, yeah, I forgot one thing. We passed this completed to-dos, so we need this as well. So let me keep them over here, comma, set completed to-dos. Yep. So we're gonna take this completed to-dos, and replace it with these to-dos. So with this, and instead of this, I'm gonna put set completed to-dos. Yep, so now you're gonna see it's not gonna show anything, even if we add a lot of things over here. Okay, cool. Also, one more thing I forgot to do is we need to send the index to our single to-dos component, because it's going to track which of this particular to-do is being dragged. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain it in just a second. So for now, just follow along. I'm passing this index as index. You're gonna see how I'm gonna use this. So again, it's giving error because single to-do does not exist except index right now, but we're gonna make it accept it. All right, now let's go to single to-dos and add the type for index, which is going to be a number. And over here as well, I'm gonna add index. Great. Now we need to make this single to-dos as a draggable thing. So outside of this, I'm gonna add a tag called draggable. And I'm gonna wrap whole of this form in this draggable. Just like that. And similarly, we're gonna add the function inside of this as well, but let's just provide it a draggable ID. And we're gonna make this draggable ID so that it should be unique, right? So I'm just gonna provide the ID of the to-dos to this. So to-do.id dot toString, and I'm gonna provide it the index so that it keeps the track of index. So this is the same index that we brought from the to-dos list component. And now inside of it, let's add our function. Take the form and put it inside of it. Just like this. You can see we put the form inside of this. Now again, we need to take provided. So you see, this is just a similar kind of stuff. We just have to set up few things and then you're good to go. So inside of this, we just need to provide few things. Provided dot draggable props. So earlier we put this thing, droppable props, but over here we're gonna put the draggable props. And another things, we're gonna add drag handle props. And of course we need to provide the ref so that it can control it properly. Yep, just like that. Now if we go to our browser and let's add something, and if I grab it, you can see it's working, but there's some issue over here. So if I go on and grab this, you can see this thing is levitating in the air. Why is this happening? Also, see, if we go over here, it rests over here, but then goes to its original position. So if I go on and make this like this, it's not saving the state. So we need to add this logic. So we're gonna add this logic later, but first we need to take care of this thing. Why is this levitating in the air? So to fix this, we're gonna go to our to-dos list, and right over here, we're gonna add something called provided dot placeholder. And similarly, we're gonna add this over here as well. Just like that. Now, if I go on and grab this, yep, you can see it produces an empty placeholder for that item. So if I go on over here, you can see it's providing us the space to be dropped on. Cool. But it's still not saving the state. So let's go on and write the logic for that. So if I go on to our app.tsx, you might remember this on drag end function. So I'm going to create this function now. So let's remove this and const on drag end, and let's add this function right over here. Now this on drag ends sends this a parameter called result. So we're going to take result parameter, and result parameter will be of type drop results. Now drop results. So if you're coding in JavaScript, you don't need to do this obviously, but in TypeScript you do. So drop result, and you can see it has imported that from React Beautiful DND. And now let's see what is inside of this result variable. So let's go and log this. So result, and let's go to our browser, open the console, and if I go on and drag and drop it, yeah, you can see we got something. So let's explore this. Inside of this we have two fields, first for destination and other for source. So what is source? Source is something where it came from. For example, if it came from over here, so it's going to give this that, okay, it has an index of 0 in this array. So it was on index of 0, and destination has where I dropped it. So I dropped it over here. So it's going to have a index of 1. So it went to index of 1 in this particular area. So how do we identify in which area are we? So remember, we provided it droppable ID. So it's gonna tell us it was in the droppable ID. It was dropped in the droppable ID and it was taken from the to-dos list. So if I go on and take this and drop this over here, you're gonna see the source is to-dos list and the destination is to-dos remove. So yeah, this is how we're going to implement our logic. So let's find out. So we're gonna take out both of these things from result. So result, and we're gonna take out source and destination. Now what are we going to do with it? First of all, we're gonna check if there's no destination, if the destination variable is empty. How is that gonna happen? If we take this and wait, let me just first log it. Yeah, so if I take this and just leave it over in the empty space, so you're gonna see destination is null. So if the destination is null, we don't have to do anything. So if destination doesn't exist, so we're just gonna return it. Otherwise, second use case will be if we take this and we drop it in the same position. So if the source and the destination are same, then also we're gonna do nothing. So if destination dot droppable ID is equal to source dot droppable ID and it's in the same index. So I'm gonna copy this up, paste this, and instead of droppable ID, write index. So if it's in the same index as well, so return. Great. So these were our base cases. So after this, we're gonna declare a variable called add, and we're gonna declare two more variables. First one will be active, which will have all of the to-dos in the to-dos list state, in this state. So we're gonna add it over here, and the other one will be complete, which is going to have all of the completed to-dos inside of it. Yeah, just like that. Now, why have I assigned it to this active? Why can't we just directly manipulate it? So again, when we have manipulated our active variable, we are going to provide it to our set to-dos state. So that will be a more neat way to do this. So now we're gonna check from where it came from. So we're gonna first check the source, and we're gonna take it from that particular source. So if, first of all, we're gonna check if it came from to-dos list droppable ID. So source dot droppable ID, if it's equal to to-dos list, then what are we going to do? Inside of this add variable, we're gonna take that particular thing. So active, and it was in the index of source.index, right? So we're gonna take source.index. We're gonna take it from the source.index, and then we are going to remove it from that particular place. So active dot slice, splice. So you can see over here, splice is used to manipulate the arrays, remove or add inside of the array. So we're gonna go to source.index, and we are going to remove one item from that place. That is that item which we have taken in the add. Now we're gonna do this similarly for to-dos remove as well. So else to-dos remove. So if it was in the complete, it came from over there. So we're gonna take it from the complete, and we're gonna remove it from there. Okay, cool. So we have taken that particular to-do. Now we need to add it to the destination. So similarly, we're gonna check if, so let me just copy this up. So if the source.droppable ID is to-dos list, then what are we going to do? Active dot splice. So now we're going to add it inside of this array. Okay. So where do we need to add it? We need to add it destination.index. Now since we are not removing anything, so we're just gonna say 0. Don't remove anything. But what are we doing? We are adding it. So we're gonna say add. This add variable that we took from over here, we're gonna add it over here. Copy this up and paste it over here, and instead of active, we're gonna write complete. And now that we have manipulated both of these variables, now we're gonna add it to our state. So set completed to-dos, we're gonna have complete, and set to-dos is going to have active. Now this should work if everything seems fine. Yep, looks good. Let's go ahead and try it. If I take it and drop it over here, okay, something went wrong clearly. Oh, for adding this, we need to add this. For over here, we need to write destination, not the source, because we're checking for the destination, right? So let's go back and try to drop it. Yep, it's working absolutely fine. So you see how easy it is to implement drag and drop in our React.js applications. But wait, I need to do one more thing. So if I pick it up, I should see some indicator that it's in the drag mode, or if we hover on this, this should glow up, and if I hover on this, this particular part should glow up. So let's provide that. I'm gonna go to my code, and inside of my to-dos list component, so I told you there's one more parameter that it takes, and that is a snapshot. So we're gonna take this snapshot, and let's go to our class names, and I'm gonna wrap this in this curly braces and provide this template string so that we can write JS inside of it. And I'm gonna open this curly braces and write snapshot.isDraggingOver. So if it's dragging over this, then provide it the class name of drag active. Otherwise, don't provide it any class names. Similarly, we're gonna do this to our completed as well. So add backticks and comma snapshot. Snapshot.isDraggingOver, then drag remove, or probably drag complete. Let's go ahead and add CSS for both of these inside of our styles. I'm just gonna make their background color a little bit more intense. So if you go on, if I pick this up, you can see if I hover on this, it's gonna glow. If I hover on this, this is going to glow. Just like this. And I want to increase the shadow of this to do as well when it's grabbed by me. So if I go on and go to our single to do, again we also have the snapshot here as well. And with these to do single, I'm gonna add another class. So snapshot.isDragging. So over there it was isDraggingOver. So and over here it's isDragging. So we're gonna provide it the class name of drag. Otherwise, we're not going to provide any class name. And let's add these styles for it. I'm gonna add some intense background shadow, box shadow. So in 20 pixels, earlier it was 15 pixels if you remember. So if I grab this, you're gonna see the shadow has gotten a little bit intense. Awesome. So you see how easy it is to implement drag and drop in our React.js applications. I would love to see the projects that you guys make after learning this. So thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, just give this video a huge fat thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just go to youtube.com/roadsidecoder and click on the subscribe button. It motivates me to create more such awesome videos for you guys. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.